Vijay, it's a pleasure to welcome you.
Pleasure to be here.
Interesting area and my personal favorite, incubating companies in a big corporation. Corporations, when they become as big or has been like Cisco for years, very difficult to be agile, very difficult to maneuver, very difficult to respond in time to the market. And that's where the ability of startups to do all those things that big corporations cannot do comes in handy. So people go and they incubate startups in their own ecosystem. So, and it's very interesting and fascinating. I want to learn because Cisco, in many ways, is becoming a legacy company, right or wrong, good or bad. I'm not picking sides, but it's been a great company for many, many years. Just wanted to learn on that aspect since you're leading that effort.
Absolutely. So if you think about, there is a perception that Cisco is becoming a legacy company, and we are here to change that perception, and so is every other BU, right? So what we say is that, so my group is called Outshift, and we say that innovation happens everywhere at Cisco. So collaboration and WebEx is innovating, networking is innovating, security is innovating, but we are incubating. And incubation is, we want to build businesses, net new, meaningful businesses for Cisco that take Cisco into new markets and talk to new personas, both new buyer as well as new user practitioner personas. So that's a mission statement. And so the way we think about, and you're right, I mean, there's less friction outside as a startup than inside a larger company. But what we've done in the past couple of years is we've put together a framework that allows us to be successful even within a large company. And I've come from Google, where I've seen Area 120, I've seen other companies try this. And I honestly feel that the framework that exists with Outshift is super awesome. So what we've done is we've said, let Cisco take care of the mundane things. And for things where you need agility, to your point, we've put together a kiosk. So if there is an HR issue, if there is a procurement issue, an IT issue, whatever the issue might be, there's a kiosk that reports all the way to the ELT that takes care of things like quickly. Because those are the friction points. The other thing that we've done is we've realized that talking to new personas is never about building a product. Anybody can build a product. It's the go-to-market. It's the way you talk about it. It's the way you appear in the market. So just like a startup, we have product engineering, customer success, marketing, sales, BDMs, all contained within this. But we also leverage larger Cisco. So if you want to get to like a Citibank, you can leverage the account teams to get into the account, talk to the right personas, get to the right persona. So it's the best of both worlds that we see that. And I think we're waiting for the first one to be scaled out successful. We've got product market fit already. We're going through a sales market fit or a scale process right now this year. But once that happens, we'll be talking about this much more broadly.
It's gratifying to hear that, and I'm actually very happy to hear that, because there are a lot of startups who individually cannot do, though every entrepreneur aspires to be a unicorn, but it's not always possible. So this support of these big ecosystems like Cisco comes in very handy. But here's the challenge I'm trying to learn and how you can overcome that. The ideas, the thought process, and the mindset are very, very different. It's almost like cheese and chalk in the beginning, right? For early stage entrepreneurs versus the Ciscos of the world. So when you're sitting and understanding the whole strategy of a startup, how do you avoid that friction? Because you have to come to an understanding somewhere, find a middle ground between an entrepreneur who's doing this, who's gung-ho about doing this faster and easy and all that, and plus you, who understand the bigger vision that the entrepreneur cannot see.
So that's a good challenge to have, and I think the way we've tackled that problem is, so first of all, you have to focus, right? So we're not just one startup, we are an incubator, so we have multiple problems, and there's a tendency for us tech people to pick lots of problems and just get excited about that. So to us, the first challenge is our internal challenge, which is let's focus on problems that are grounded in emerging tech. So don't solve something that is mature, solved before, or is a process problem to solve. Because startups can solve a process problem, a supply chain problem, and still be successful. Or a modernization problem, still be successful. We want to go after new technology so that we have a same potential for success as any other startup out there. So that's number one. So that's our challenge, to focus. But then your question around Cisco is actually pretty valid, and the way we think about it is we've divided it up into, our entire journey is in 4 phases. So there's a launch, land, there's a PMF, and there's a scale. So the first 3 are completely within our control. So we are not coupled to Cisco at all. So the launch pieces, the land, the PMF, all of those things are completely within our control. So we can decide which products to build, which to kill, which is as important, how to move fast. If there is a friction point, like I said, procurement, we haven't onboarded a particular vendor, or I want to go after and solve a product-led adoption motion, which Cisco is not great at. I mean, they're a top-down sales company. I need to support social identities. I need to support a new digital stack for consumption. All of those things we can do on our own. It's only in the scale phase that we start interacting, and we'll start building playbooks that Cisco can take and run with at that point.
And then what is the selection criteria for the startups?
So that, again, it's a variety of things. So the funnel comes in from a lot of the engineering input. The funnel comes in from what venture capitalists are doing and what you see as emerging tech like generative AI. I mean, that's one thing. The other thing is we sit down and figure out how can we build something meaningful for Cisco. That is a very key word for us, because we want to build something which is pretty horizontal, that is widely applicable, that just does not solve a particular vertical's problem, because that's not where Cisco plays. So eventually the goal is to acquire this back into Cisco. So you need to keep that in mind in the long term. So that's another filter that we use. And then the filter that we use is what is new and differentiated that we can bring in from a large company perspective. So whether it's security, whether it's trust, whether it's the scale of a larger organization that we can bring in eventually to the customer. So the bunch of filters that we use, and the thing that we decided to do is we built a framework which said, how far is this idea from Cisco's core businesses? And we started with ideas which are 1 degree away or 2 degrees away from Cisco's core, and yet different enough. So give you an example. We are building a product in the security space. You would think Cisco is a security company, but they are looking at security in identity, in network security, in infrastructure security. What we are building is application security. So we're looking at software bill of materials, API security, container serverless security. We're speaking to a persona which is developers and SREs, which Cisco doesn't speak to. So that way you build something which is net new market for Cisco, core to our mission. But when you go in and talk to a customer and you say, it's Outshift, great, but it's Outshift by Cisco, and Cisco has credibility in the security space. So that's how we started. And once we have 1 or 2 of those that are scaled out, we're going to go further and further out in that degree space that I talked about. So generative AI is becoming one of those where we are actually branching out, and we're talking to data scientists and ML engineers as a persona to sell to.
Because like I said, it's all great work, and I'm sure there are a lot of good companies that are going to come out of this effort. And I see the dedication and passion in you. So Cisco is doing some good work here through people like you.
Absolutely. Through people like me, my teams, and the support that I get from our CEO and the ELT as well. So yes.
Thank you for being here. Appreciate that.
Thank you for having me.